Hello, my friends. What is up, responsible day traders? It's actually Sunday, April 3rd, 2022, but you're going to be seeing this on Monday, April 4th, 2022, and I'll be wrapping it up I'll be wrapping it up tomorrow. But let's talk about really quick. First off, we do have this month on You Profit Trader a 30% discount, so check that out. You can use the code Easter30 to get that 30% off. So make sure you check those out. Guys, we're really working hard, and that new website is coming out very, very soon for that. I know it seems like it's taking forever. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, The Money Pit, where the guy's like 2 weeks, that's how I feel. But we're almost there. We're almost there. Okay. And also don't forget, we have taxes coming up, right? So you want to make sure that you definitely have the right person doing your taxes when it comes to your day trading, because if you don't, you may not get all the tax breaks that you need. Now, you can go to responsibledaytradingtaxpros.com and you can have a little chat with our friend Jay, and he can tell you some of the best routes to go. Do you want to have an LLC, an S Corp with an LLC? Whatever's going to work best for your situations, what you're going to want to do. Just think about that, guys. Also, we do have a few openings right now at Responsible Day Trading. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit about that, first off, check out our free guide that we have. You can see that free guide and, just spend a little time going over it, learn a little bit about us. If you're new to day trading, definitely learn a little bit about day trading there. If you want to find out some more about the options that we have, about some of the coaching that we have, or if you want to, if maybe you just need to get to that next step and you don't quite need the coaching, we do have those options as well. But you can go on the website and just click the button that says speak with a team member, and you can speak with one of our members here and just find out a little bit about the program and if it's going to be a good fit for you. All right, so let's go ahead and spend a little bit of time to see what we got going on in the news and then check out the market. All right, so if you're looking to see what's going on in the news, you'll just head on over to responsibledaytrading.com. You'll see news, go to the drop down, and you can see market news, what we got going on. Oh, not a lot this week. That's awesome. It's really funny because we don't have a lot, but we have something kind of big coming up. So there's nothing on Monday, Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. So 30 minutes after the market opens. Wednesday, an hour after market opens, crude oil inventories. And then we have FOMC at 1 o'clock. Now, lately we've had a lot of speakers and a lot more going on that same day. So this may be a much easier day to deal with the things. And Thursday, we have some pre-market material. Now, we do have a lot going on just between health issues and war and things like that. So the market isn't quite moving as smoothly as we've seen in the past. So sitting out during things like this is totally okay, and just making sure that you are paying attention to what's going on, and that you're not just jumping at the first move if you are trading in a similar way than what we are. Okay, first, so let's go ahead and look at this daily chart. Man, I was completely wrong last week. I said, hey, look, we're pulling up to this area. We'll probably bounce back right then. And the strength was just so incredible that it was like, no way are we coming back now. Now I'm just looking at where the extreme high has been for the MACDs there, and we're not too far off from it. So just looking at what's going on right in here, I am going to anticipate a little bit more of a pullback. I mean, so far it's a very, very weak move to the downside in the MACDs, and it's attempting to make what looks like a reversal bar at the EMA area, or not quite to the EMA area, a little bit above it. The EMAs are just starting to cross over. Now, in my typical experience for something like this, what we will see is a pullback into an area such as right in here. And I'm not going to make it too big, just so we can see where that takes place when we're looking at some bigger charts a little bit later. Okay, so we're not too far off from it. I mean, we're really not that far off from it. We are starting to see the BBs roll inside just a little bit, just with this major strength up. I don't anticipate seeing it stop going up, but we're always going to see pullbacks. That's just part of the game, right? So a place where we could possibly see it pull back into, maybe back into some place like in here. Honestly, what I'd really like to see with these MACDs is for them to make a nice strong pullback towards this Bollinger Band as it pulls up just a little bit, while the price takes its time pulling back into this area. And with being flat, we may see it overrun it a little bit. So what I would like to see, now doesn't mean it's what I'm going to see. What I'd like to see is it pull back into here. MACDs come back a little bit, give us some more room to run and play to the upside, I guess you could say. I didn't even look at the last few days last week, so this is my first time seeing what happened in the last couple of days. All right. Yeah, this is such a weak pullback right now, but I also look at the larger charts as that gentle giant, so it takes a little longer for the MACDs to pull back. We may even see something along the lines of what we saw right in here, where it hangs out for a little while and then pops down. And I personally would love to see it pop down in here and then to come back up, so it gives us lots of wiggle room for the MACDs to really just continue pushing up while the price moves its way to the upside. So that's what I can anticipate. On the other hand, this market's going to do whatever it wants to do. It could just crash right back down to the previous area that we'd seen before. And the MACDs don't even have to make it below the zero line to see that happen. So it's really, when it comes to the daily chart, I don't trade the daily chart. I'm just looking at what we can anticipate for the overall feel of the week. And you can see when we looked at that divergence that pushed the market to the upside and broke through the Bollinger Bands, we had a really overall of movement to the upside. Obviously, we got some nice little pullbacks where it could continue up, but overall, the movement just kept continuing up. And we are not too far off from our last major high, from our highest high, right? Around that 4,800 area. So, it's a couple hundred points away, but we'll see what happens. So let's go to the next chart. 28,657 is the next one that I like to look at. Let me pull this over here. And the reason I like to look at this one is I just really like that in-between point of the daily chart and my biggest chart, which is the 10,946 that I trade with, right? So this is kind of that, just a step down. It's that stair step in between. Now, if I'm looking at the 28,657, we've pulled up to the EMAs and they are opening up to the downside. We are at the zero line with the MACDs. We have come off of some divergence. And let's look at this, how this happened here. We had divergence happen here. Then we had the major retracement divergence that happened here with the pullback and the double bars and the MACDs just doing that there. That's that ultra retracement divergence, because it doesn't even get inside the Bollinger Bands. So it really gave us a clear indication by looking at this that we're going to see it pull back to a bigger area to possibly push down. So this is what we have to start looking at with our smaller tick charts to help us determine if this is going to continue up or if it's going to roll off of here. So it's already pulled back just a little bit, but the MACDs are really slowed down and started to roll over just a little. If I look at something like my 10,946, when looking at this isn't giving me a real super clear indication that it's going to push forward to push more to the upside. The only thing that says possibly is the fact that the MACDs have not pulled down enough to break through this Bollinger Band as it's moved off the area here. Now, what we can see a lot of times with something like this is we'll see MACDs pull up here and then push back down while price pulls up here and pushes back down as well. So it's definitely a watch and wait. I'm gonna be really interested to see what it looks like in the morning. So right now, 28,657, it is making higher pivots. This is definitely a higher pivot than what we saw here, the last major higher pivot. But it is trying to show us right now that it's got potential to move to the downside. We're at the zero line. We're at EMAs that are fairly weak to the downside, but just starting to open up. So, it is definitely a watch and wait. I mean, I'm not trading right now anyways. We can see the market's been open for a few hours, and so far on the 1597, it's only created a handful of bars. So it's not like it's even moving fast anyways, right? So let's come back to our current charts that I'm using to trade with. So if we come back here, we can see we got this pullback. It pushed up. Whenever that happened, look at what's happening with the MACDs. We're not even breaking that bottom Bollinger Band here. We had distance to travel back to weak EMAs. These are not strong, so they're going to be easy to break through. As it breaks through to the upside, now we have to think to ourselves, where's the next spot that it might stop? And that was definitely whenever we saw it pull into the area of the EMA right here, right? So it pulled up to that area of the EMA, and what did the MACDs tell us? Initially, and this was what was going on Friday, but it definitely told us that we were not pushing directly to the upside right now. We've got retracement divergences, more retracement divergences right here and right here, which pushed it down to the EMAs with that guppy belly look, because it started to kind of open up here just a little bit, but still, since the MACDs, or since the price pulled so far away and was pulling back in, it's a little bit of a struggle for it to catch up, really. So it pushed up really far. For these to pull back in, it's a little bit of work for these EMAs to catch up. It's kind of like what we saw right here, right? We got down to the area, pulled back up, and then pushed back through. Now, did it stay below here? No. That divergence moved it to the upside. I feel like I'm drawing for like a football game or something. I don't know why. But it moved it to the upside, right? And we could just really read that that was going to happen there. And it did. Once it rolled off that Bollinger Band, pushed it up, white BBs, divergences, boom, right back down. But to an area that could create a bounce to the upside. The divergence here, once it pulled down, didn't follow through, definitely said it was going to pull back up. So the question here is, by the morning time, are we going to see this have moved to the upside and continue up? Or are we going to see this pull off of the EMAs here and push back down to the downside to create something more along the lines of this? Or even at that point, just push up and then continue back down. So, it's going to be something that we're going to have our eyes on. If we're looking at what right now the feel for the overall market, as of right now, the feel for the overall market is to the upside. We're above the EMAs, we're above the zero line, all right here. So we've got these price bars above the EMAs. We've got the MACDs above the zero line. We're working to move this to the upside. Now, if this does become the next low, right? So if this becomes the next low, we pretty much have, I know it pushed down a little bit extra here, but we have greeted that last low. It did a little bit of a fake out breakout, pushing past there, and it's pulled back up. So if this becomes the next low and pushes down here, we know what the feel is going to be. But since we're back above the EMAs and we're back above the zero line, significantly back above the zero line, it's going to be hard to stop that from continuing up. So we're just going to have to play along with what the market is telling us and make sure that we're paying attention to what it says. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this says in the morning, and I hope you all sleep well. All right, good morning. We are now kicking off Monday morning. So it's Monday, April 4th. And a couple of things have changed. Now we're starting to see this BB try
why it's best to roll back up. We never really got inside of the Bollinger Band, so this may be the spot where we see it push up just a little bit. But let's look at our other tick charts. Now, a couple of hours ago, we were a couple of BBs back and we were pulling right into the zero line about right here, but we can see what's happened. It's not only pushing up further through or at the EMAs, but with a possibility through, and we can see the possibility through. This has 177 ticks left and the BBs are really starting to pull away, which shows strength and momentum in that direction. So this may be that next high that pushes this up to see if we're going to get up, equal that previous pivot period, and possibly exceed that high that we created a couple of months back. And let's go back to the daily chart really quick. Back in December. So are we going to go up there? And still, guys, this could still pull back into this area, but we can see that it's trying to make that attempt up. If we come to our 3 current charts that we're using, last night we were about right here and thinking, oh, is this going to push down? But we can see the EMAs did stay open. I actually considered something like this happening, which it kind of did, but it just happened at the EMAs instead of below it. So we can see on the 10,946, we pulled down to that bottom Bollinger Band with the BBs right here, pushed up, and we're pushing through that EMA. We are really, really far above the zero line, and we're trying to pull away from the EMAs. Typically what we want to see is separation from the EMAs, like a decent separation, something like this, and then a push above that area. So we have the separation here on the 1597. We're starting to see the potential for it to push just a little bit higher, as if it gets back above here and creates that separation from the EMA. To me, that's more oomph for more in that direction to the upside. The way the MACDs just barely rolled into the Bollinger Bands, lots of distance to that bottom Bollinger Band, lots of distance to the zero line, gives it more weight to the move to the upside. So yeah, I think we may see another upward day. Now, is there still opportunity for it to pull back into the area like we discussed last night back in here? Absolutely. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. All right, guys, that is going to wrap things up for Monday morning. I hope that everybody has a wonderful week. If you've got questions, definitely hit us up. We'd like to do everything that we can to help you. And just as always, remember what we see happening right here at this moment can always shift and change. So we have to have our minds ready for the change, for the shift, in order to just be prepared for what the market gives us. If we try and force our thought process on it, then it's never going to work out. Anytime I've ever tried to force my thought process on the market, I spent the whole day trying to make it up. All right, guys, that's going to wrap everything up. I hope we have a wonderful week. And as always, you know that I look forward to catching you on the profitable side.